Instagram @lina, Facebook Lina, dan subscribe channel ini ya.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello guys, how's your life? Hope you have a good day. My name is Miss Lina. My student number is 2590027. I'm from class Multimodal Listening and Speaking C, and now I will explain to you about linguistic devices. There are 5 points that I will explain. It's about the definition of linguistic devices, figurative devices, literary devices, sound devices, and the last is about the use of linguistic devices. Okay, happy watching! Okay, the first point is about the definition of linguistic devices. Linguistic devices is word or phrase that convey a meaning which is different to the literal one, because these linguistic devices are more imagery. Linguistic devices are also known as language devices, linguistic techniques, or figurative devices. It can use in fiction or non-fiction texts. Next, figurative language. Figurative language refers to the use of words in a way that deviates from the conventional order and meaning in order to convey a complicated meaning, colorful writing, clarity, or evocative comparison. It uses an ordinary sentence to reverse to something without directly stating it. Writers favor a handful of common types of figurative language. Among these are simile. A simile is a figurative of speech that compares two unlike things and use the words like or as, and they are commonly used in everyday communication. A simile is used with the aim of sparking an interesting connection in the reader's mind. For example, he swims like a fish. It doesn't mean when swimming he turns into a fish, but his swimming ability is very good like a fish that is agile in swim. Next, metaphor. A metaphor is a figure of speech that compares two things that are not alike. Unlike simile, metaphors don't use the words like or as. Such statement only makes sense when the reader understands the connection between the two things being compared. For example, time is money. The statement compares time and money. It doesn't mean, not literally mean, that amount of time you have equals the money that you have. Instead, it means that time is a valuable resource and it should be used effectively to earn money. Anytime words mean that a person allows the change to make more money. And then hyperbole. Hyperbole is an invention and extreme exaggeration for emphasis or effect. For example, I have a million things to do today. The meaning of that sentence is she or he has a lot of activities to do today. It's just the word a lot here is exaggerated to a million. Next is personification. Personification projects human qualities onto inanimate objects or perhaps animals or natural elements. For example, the leaves wave in the wind. The word wave here doesn't mean that the leaves have hands, because the leaves officially don't have hands. So, wave here represents that the leaves are moving because of the wind. 5 is idioms. Idioms is a phrase people use in everyday language which don't make sense literally, but the meaning is understood. For example, hit the books. It doesn't mean that you really hit the book, but this idiom is used to express that you study really hard. And the last is irony. Irony is when a statement is used to express an opposite meaning than the one literally expressed by it. For example, the new manager is as friendly as a rattlesnake. Okay, the second point is literary devices. Literary devices are techniques a writer uses to convey meaning to readers. An author's skillful use of literary devices allows reader to glean meaning beyond just what is denoted by the word on each page. Writers could convey meaning just by relying on minimal literary elements like plot, theme, and setting. But that would not lead to the most interesting stories or poems. Okay, the first literary devices is symbolism. Symbolism refers to the use of an object, figure, event, situation, or other idea in a written work to represent something else. Typically, a broader message or deeper meaning that differs from its literal meaning. The second is allegory. Allegory is one of literary devices that use symbols to reveal a hidden meaning that convey the overall moral of the story. The third is allusions. Allusion is when a text references another external text, or maybe a person, place, or event. It can be either explicit or implicit. Allusion make reference to well-known characters, places, or events that immediately create meaning in the mind of the reader. For example, a writer might refer to a male character as a real Romeo. Many readers would know that this allusion is suggesting he is romantic, just like the famous character Romeo from William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. The fourth is flashback. Flashback in literature are the same. These are story elements giving you insight into a previous moment or experience. For example, the smell of baking cookies takes you back to a time you spent with your grandmother. The next is mood. Mood is the general feeling the writer wants the audience to have. The writer can achieve this through description, setting, dialogue, or word choice. For example, here's a passage from J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit. A very comfortable tunnel without smoke, with paneled walls and floors tiled and carpeted, provided with polished chairs and lots of pegs for hats and coats. The Hobbit was fond of visitors. In this passage, Tolkien used detailed description to set a cozy and comforting mood. From the writing, you can see that the Hobbit's home is well cared for and designed to provide comfort. Next, paradox. A paradox is a statement that appears illogical or self-contradictory, but upon investigation might actually be true or plausible. For example, the statement is false. If the statement is true, then it is not actually false as it suggests, but if it's false, then the statement is true. Thus, the statement is a paradox because it is both true and false at the same time. And the last is analogy. An analogy is a literary device often used in literature and poetry to make connection between familiar and unfamiliar things, such as a deeper significance or create imagery in the reader's mind. For example, memory is love what the saucer is to the cup. The host in Paris, Elizabeth Bowen, this analogy compares the relationship between a cup and saucers. So, that of love and memory. Memory holds on to love as a saucer holds the cup. Okay, the first point is about sound devices. Sound devices are special tools the poet can use to create certain effect in the poem to convey and reinforce meaning through sound. There are several sound devices. First is alliteration. Alliteration is a sound device that layers some additional meaning on top of the literal language of the text. It occurs when a series of words start with the same letter sound. For example, wicked, which are from forth the fatal lines of these two voices. The second is repetition. Repetition is when a word or phrase is written multiple times, usually for the purpose of emphasis. It is often used in poetry for purpose of rhythm as well. For example, Edgar Allan Poe's The Bells poem repeats keeping time, and time. The third point is onomatopoeia. In onomatopoeia, words sound like the thing they describe, like sound effects. For example, tick talk and ding dong are everyday example, as well as words like zap and hiccup. Sometimes individual words are not onomatopoeia, but they will become so in the context of the words around them. For example, in Edgar Allan Poe's, suddenly there come a tapping as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. And last, assonancy. This occurs when two or more words repeat the same vowel sound but begin with different consonant sound. For example, tilting at windmills. It shows assonancy with the repetition of the letter I. Okay, the last but not least important points about linguistic devices is the use of linguistic devices. The use of linguistic devices. First is well-chosen linguistic devices can help make your writing more effective and powerful. Next, add something special or original to your writing, and then give more information using fewer words and persuade or engage your reader. Communicate your ideas in a precise way. Help the reader visualize a scene. Linguistic devices is something that we need to implement in our conversation or statement. But it doesn't mean that we must use linguistic devices in any conversation that we are conducting. It is impossible to use all of them, so the types of linguistic devices are used to suit our needs or ourselves and the text that is created. The use of linguistic devices is not an obligation, but these linguistic devices are additional that can make what is conveyed is more complete, like it, and even imitated by listeners and readers. Okay, maybe that's all for me. I hope that you can got my point and it can be useful for us. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Stay safe and stay healthy, guys. See ya.